Once upon a time, high on a rocky cliff, inside a snug little egg, you were waiting. You didn't know it yet, but your life was about to get very exciting. For now, though, you were just curled up, growing stronger inside your shell. Maybe try some tiny push-ups in there. You'll need strong wings soon. After 45 long days, crack, you finally hatched. But oh, no one seemed to notice. Your parents were too busy arguing about whose turn it was to bring food. After some back and forth, your dad sighed and flew off to find something delicious. When he returned, he fed you soft, mushy, pre-chewed meat. Yuck! But don't worry, you'll get used to it. As the days passed, you watched your parents closely, learning how they moved and hunted. Oh look, you have a sibling. That's fun, right? Well, kind of, because every meal turned into a wrestling match. You and your sibling had to fight for each bite while your parents watched like it was their favorite show. A month later, you looked very different. Your fluffy down had been replaced by sleek, dark feathers. You were starting to look like a real black eagle. By 90 days, you were almost fully grown, but there was one tiny thing you still needed to learn: flying. Whoa, that was a long way down. Your parents circled overhead, watching and probably placing bets on whether you'd soar or splat. Well, here goes nothing. For a moment, you were falling. Then whoosh, your wings caught the wind. You were flying. Kind of. Maybe. Okay, not really. Thunk. Oops. Maybe we should have moved that tree. Time to try again. After a few more wobbly attempts, you got the hang of it. You learned how to soar, how to dive, and most importantly, how to hunt. Your sharp eyes, better than any binoculars, could spot a tiny rabbit from far, far away. Just like your parents, you learned to lock onto your target, fold your wings back, and whoosh, dive like a rocket. Okay, still working on that landing. As time went on, your parents started acting a little distant. It was like they were hinting that maybe, just maybe, it was time for you to move out. So at around 14 to 15 months, you took the hint. It was time to explore the world on your own. Finding a home wasn't easy. Other eagles already had the best spots, and they weren't exactly thrilled about a newcomer. But you didn't give up. Eventually, you found a place to call your own. Life wasn't all fights and hunting, though. Sometimes you'd ride the wind, soaring higher and higher, until the world below looked like a tiny puzzle. And then one day, something changed. It was spring, and suddenly, the other black eagles seemed different. Love was in the air. Finding a mate wasn't easy. You tried showing off your best flying tricks, bringing gifts of fresh prey, and even performing fancy aerial dances. Note to self: not every eagle likes being dive-bombed with a rabbit. But after a few awkward attempts, you finally found your perfect match. Together, you built a nest, well, borrowed one and added a few twigs. Soon, there were eggs. Taking turns keeping them warm was like the world's longest, most boring work shift. Then, after 45 days, crack, your first chick hatched. And then, a few days later, the second one. Oh boy, here we go again. More sibling fights at dinner time. Being a parent was a full-time job. You barely had time for yourself, constantly flying back and forth, finding food for your endlessly hungry chicks. And, okay, sometimes things went wrong, like that one time you forgot to cover the nest before a storm. Then, one day your chicks grew up. It was time for them to leave the nest, just like you once did. You watched as they spread their wings and took their first leap into the sky. You were so proud. Now, as the years passed, you weren't as fast as before, but you were wiser. Life as a black eagle was never easy, but it was always an adventure. And so, high above the world, you continued to soar, strong, proud, and free.